Hello, English learners and practitioners. Welcome to another episode of the podcast, Your English Always Better. I'm Jennifer. I'll start by asking you a question. Would you forgive a betrayal? Today's story is about betrayals between couples and friends. Check out the story and be surprised by the ending. Pay close attention to the sentences and verbs to firmly grasp the content in your mind. If you want, listen more than once. At the end, we will explain some words and ask questions to help you better assimilate the content. Let's get started. Sarah and Tom were the perfect couple in everyone's eyes. Married for 5 years, they lived a comfortable and happy life. Tom worked as an engineer at a large construction company, while Sarah was a marketing manager at an advertising agency. They lived in a cozy house in a quiet neighborhood and enjoyed dining at fancy restaurants and traveling to exotic destinations. Apparently, their life was that of a happy couple who got along well, respected each other, and had many plans for future achievements. Emily, Sarah's best friend, was always around. She was an accountant and worked at the same company as Tom. Emily and Sarah had known each other since college, although they didn't study together. They became friends because they attended the same parties organized by college friends and ended up forming a strong, close-knit friendship. The two were always together, traveling, talking about life, their boyfriends, and how their future would be. Despite occasionally drifting apart due to work, Emily was practically part of Sarah's family, always present at dinners, trips, and important moments in Sarah and Tom's life. Some neighbors and family members even commented that they found it strange that Emily was always involved in Sarah and Tom's life, but the couple didn't mind because they liked Emily a lot and saw her as a person of extreme trust. To Sarah, Tom and Emily were just good friends and colleagues. Although she occasionally witnessed affectionate glances between the two, she always saw it as friendly affection, especially since Emily always told Sarah that her ideal type of man was tall and blonde, while Tom was dark-haired and short. Even so, Sarah always wondered why Emily hadn't found a boyfriend in so many years, and Emily always replied that she hadn't found the perfect man yet. Sarah found it strange that Emily was single, as she was very intelligent, hardworking, friendly, and beautiful. When they went out together, Sarah couldn't understand why Emily didn't respond to the many advances from men who looked at her and even approached her to talk, but who were always promptly dismissed. Sarah also commented to her husband, Tom, about Emily's repulsion towards men who tried to talk to her. Sarah even asked Tom if he thought Emily liked women, but Tom always avoided the topic, arguing that he didn't pay much attention to Emily and that her private life didn't interest him. Despite Sarah's questions, her life with Tom and Emily's constant presence in the family continued to flow well. However, this family and joyful atmosphere between Tom, Sarah, and Emily began to change when Tom had to travel for work to another city, which he did frequently. Tom even invited Sarah to go with him when the trips extended into the weekend, but this time the trip was on a Tuesday, and he didn't even ask if Sarah wanted to go. Feeling lonely, Sarah called Emily to invite her for a happy hour, a program they always did together when Tom traveled. To her surprise, Emily said she couldn't go because she was sick. Sarah sensed a tense tone in her friend's voice and imagined it might be something serious and sudden, as she had spoken to Emily the day before and everything seemed fine with her. Worried about her friend, Sarah decided to go to Emily's house to offer help. Upon arriving, Emily's maid informed her that Emily had traveled. Sarah was even more surprised and worried, as she had spoken to Emily minutes before, and she hadn't mentioned anything about a trip. Sarah then asked the maid where Emily had gone. The answer left her stunned. The maid informed her of the city Emily had gone to, which was the same city Tom had said he was traveling to for work. In disbelief, Sarah left, deep in thought, living a movie in her head. At first, she was sure that Tom and Emily were having an affair. However, she then thought that maybe Emily had gone to meet Tom for work, as they worked at the same company. On the other hand, she wondered why Emily would lie about being sick if she knew she was going to travel for work with Tom. Amidst so many doubts, Sarah decided to cool her head to think about what to do and how to do it. She took a pill to calm down and went to sleep, although it was difficult to fall asleep in such a situation. The next day, more emotionally balanced, Sarah decided to investigate the whole story further. The first step was to call Tom early in the morning. She even imagined he wouldn't answer, but he did. Her husband found it strange because Sarah never called when he traveled, but she just said she missed him and wanted to know if everything was okay. Sarah also said she called to tell him she was worried about Emily because she had invited Emily to go out, but her friend refused, saying she was sick. Sarah also said she went to Emily's house, but she wasn't there because she had traveled, according to the maid. At that moment, Sarah felt Tom become nervous and wanted to hang up, arguing that he had a meeting. And she didn't need much time to confirm the betrayal, as she heard Emily's voice in the background asking who Tom was talking to. Sarah then hung up, but to have more concrete evidence, she started investigating even further. Since she had the password to another computer of Tom's that was at home, she opened files and saw several messages and even indiscreet photos exchanged between her husband and her then best friend. Sarah broke down in tears and kept dwelling on the pain of her husband's and best friend's betrayal. She remembered the many times they had been together, the three of them, and in many of those times, her husband and friend were already having an affair. She thought about what to do, considered leaving the house, making a scene, hitting her friend, kicking her husband out of the house. In the end, among various ways to vent her anger, she decided she would wait for the two to return from the trip. As soon as Tom returned, and just to see his reaction, Sarah asked how the trip was, as if nothing had happened. Tom replied that it was fine, a lot of work, and that he was tired and needed to sleep a bit. Sarah then asked if Tom had seen Emily. Tom, already nervous, asked why he would have seen Emily if he was in another city working. Sarah replied that it wouldn't be impossible for him to meet Emily because she was also in the same city where Tom went to work. Even more agitated, Tom said he didn't understand anything. That's when Sarah couldn't take any more lies and confronted Tom, saying she already knew about the affair between him and Emily. Initially, Tom tried to deny everything, but with no way out in the face of Sarah's arguments, he ended up admitting the betrayal. He revealed that he was in love and planned to leave Sarah to live with Emily. He also said that he had been with Emily for a year and couldn't stand living with Sarah anymore. He said Emily was much more of a woman, more attentive, and more beautiful. After all the insults, Tom immediately packed his things and left the house, leaving Sarah devastated. But her situation was about to get worse. Not only did she have to endure Tom's harsh words, but the next day, Sarah discovered that Tom had used a large portion of their money to buy a house to live with Emily. Betrayed and financially ruined, Sarah decided to confront Emily as well. Emily, without remorse, confirmed the affair and said that Tom loved her more than Sarah. She even added that Sarah was losing Tom because she didn't know how to treat a man properly. But the revelations and disappointments for Sarah didn't stop there. Emily, in an act of revenge for being confronted, spread rumors around town that Sarah was cheating on Tom, causing many friends and acquaintances to distance themselves from her. Additionally, Sarah discovered that her boss and Emily were having an affair and that Emily had demanded Sarah's dismissal, which led to her losing her job. Devastated, Sarah fell into a deep depression. She isolated herself, cried constantly, and felt that her life had lost its meaning. Bills began to pile up, and she had to sell the house she lived in to pay off the debts left by Tom. Without a job and without a home, Sarah moved to a small rented apartment, depriving herself of all the comfort she had achieved in her life until then. In the midst of darkness, Sarah found relief in studying consciousness expansion, especially topics related to forgiveness. 3 months after discovering Tom and Emily's betrayal, she started attending support groups and reading books on self-knowledge and spirituality. It was in this study that she met John, an apparently kind and attentive man. Gradually, he gained Sarah's trust, but she wasn't ready to meet anyone and shut herself off from John's advances. Meanwhile, everything started to go wrong for Tom and Emily. They faced financial problems, lost their jobs, and began to fight constantly. Tom even discovered that Emily was having an affair with Sarah's boss and no longer wanted to continue their relationship. They separated and began to show regret for their actions. Tom and Emily, each in their own time, sought Sarah to ask for forgiveness, hoping to return to their previous lives. Sarah, still hurt, refused to forgive them. However, she realized that her life had worsened after she started harboring hatred in her heart. She became ill and had difficulty relating to other people. Amidst her studies, Sarah learned how negative thoughts and the lack of forgiveness attract bad things into our lives and decided to change her attitude. She started reading and occupying her mind with programs that brought her well-being and joy. She felt her life begin to change. One night, Sarah had a vision of an angel who asked her to forgive Tom and Emily and move on with her life. Touched by the vision, Sarah decided to forgive them. She met them and, with an open heart, said she forgave them but didn't want any more contact with them. Reinvigorated with life, Sarah found a new job at a company that valued her talent and dedication. There, she met Mark, a colleague who treated her with respect and love. They started dating, and Sarah finally felt truly loved and respected. Their love grew quickly, and Sarah felt increasingly happy. Meanwhile, it was discovered that Tom and Emily had committed fraud at the company they worked for and were being sought by the police. Desperate, Tom and Emily fled to another country but were captured and imprisoned. In prison, they faced harsh conditions and became seriously ill. They almost died but managed to survive. After 5 years, they were released, but their lives were in ruins. In prison, Tom lamented every day, concluding that Sarah was the great love of his life and that he was foolish to let that love slip away, trading Sarah for an irresponsible adventure with Emily. When he was released, he decided to seek Sarah for forgiveness and reconciliation. Tom found Sarah, but she was happy with her husband, Mark, and their 2 wonderful children. Sarah listened to what Tom had to say, but simply told him to try to rebuild his life based on values of respect and love for people, so he would have a chance to be happy. Free from the burden of hatred and betrayal, Sarah lived happily with her new love, her children, her new job, and her new friends. She learned that forgiveness is a powerful tool for healing and that, even in the most difficult situations, it is possible to find happiness again. Wow, in this story, the betrayers got what they deserved. Did you like the ending? Comment below if you've ever experienced betrayal. That way, you can practice your English while writing your story. But don't worry, our podcast isn't over yet. To better retain the content presented in the story, let's analyze 3 important words that appear in the text, along with their definitions and synonyms. First word. Inquired. Meaning: the act of asking or questioning something insistently or investigatively. Sentences with the word inquired. 1. She inquired the teacher about the project details. 2. The reporter inquired the politician about his campaign promises. 3. He inquired his friend about the reason for her sadness. Synonyms. 1. Asked. 2. Questioned. 3. Probed. Second word. Happy hour. Meaning: a period of the day, usually in the late afternoon, when bars and restaurants offer discounts on drinks and snacks to attract customers. Sentences with the word happy hour. 1. Let's go to happy hour after work. 2. The Friday happy hour is always very lively. 3. They decided to have happy hour at the new bar in town. Synonyms. 1. Social hour. 2. Discount hour. 3. Happy time. Third word. Expansion. Meaning: the act or effect of increasing, growing, or extending in size, volume, quantity, or scope. Sentences with the word expansion. 1. The company is in a phase of expansion into new markets. 2. The expansion of the universe is a fascinating topic in astronomy. 3. They plan the expansion of the house to accommodate the growing family. Synonyms. 1. Growth. 2. Increase. 3. Enlargement. Now let's ask 3 questions to see if you paid close attention to the dialogue. Formulate the answer in your mind as you think is correct. The important thing is to do the exercise to help improve your level of English comprehension. Question 1. Where did Tom and Emily work? Question 2. What did Emily tell Sarah to avoid going to the bar with her? Question 3. What was Emily's ideal type of man? Well, dear English learner, did you manage to answer? I'll leave the relevant excerpts for the 3 questions here, along with the answers. So, if you haven't answered yet, pause the video, answer, and then come back to check the answers and see if you answered more or less correctly. I hope you did well. Let's go. So, to recap, the first question was about where Tom and Emily worked. Listen now to the part of the story that answers this question. Tom worked as an engineer at a large construction company. Emily, Sarah's best friend, was always around. She was an accountant and worked at the same company as Tom. Did you get the answer right? I hope so. Well, let's move on to the answer to the second question, which was about what Emily told Sarah to avoid going to the bar with her. Do you remember this part? I'll give you 10 more seconds to answer. Great! Let's go to the part of the story with the answer. Emily said she couldn't go because she was sick. Finally, the third question was about what type of man was ideal for Emily. 10 more seconds for you to answer. Great! Now follow the part of the story with the answer. Especially since Emily always told Sarah that her ideal type of man was tall and blonde. I hope you did well with the answers. In any case, the important thing is to answer, even if in a different way. By the way, if you like learning English with stories, leave a comment below about what type of stories you like the most, because we will bring those stories you like here on the channel, agreed? That's it, dear English learners. If you liked the video, take the opportunity to like it. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications to always be notified of new videos. Stay tuned because at the end of this video, suggestions for other podcasts on the channel will appear for you to follow and further improve your English. Enjoy! See you in the next videos.